to the channel. We got big things today. I ordered a ETS rotated kit, ETS front mount, Garrett 3582R Gen 2 for my 2018 STI. And here's the parts bench. We got TGV deletes, spark plugs, gaskets, TGV gaskets, TIAL blow-off valve, TIAL 44mm wastegate, IAG AOS V3 with the comp conversion, iWire speed density kit with the COBB 4-bar, IAG fuel rails, IAG PTFE braided fuel lines for flex fuel, AEROMOTIVE fuel pressure regulator, ETS rotated kit, ETS front mount kit with the rotated piping, brass fittings for coolant hoses, hose clamps. Yeah, so that's all gonna go on. Today is Sunday. I have the whole week off, and then Friday I'm going to the dyno. So that's the plan. Car's right here. A little background on the car is 2018 STI, stock motor, 80,000 miles. It has flex fuel kit, ID 1300s, AEM 340 hardwired, COBB airbox, downpipe, external wastegate with a GRIMSPEED up pipe and a TIAL wastegate already. It made 340 wheel, 370 torque, ACT clutch, ACT extreme clutch, and that's it. So it's about to go from nothing to everything. And I just figured, I mean, I love watching videos of rotated kits and stuff like that. So that's basically it. I'm just going to record the process. It's not really going to be much of a how-to because I've never done it before either. I don't think I'm going to have too hard of a problem doing it, but I don't know it enough to make a how-to. So if anyone has any questions afterwards, I'm happy to answer them. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm just going to start ripping the car apart and get to it. Okay, so downpipe's out, intercooler's out, airbox is out, fuel lines are out. Now I'm gonna take the up pipe and wastegate out, and then I need to get the intake manifold off. All right, intake manifold's off. It's over there. This is kind of a pain in the ass, probably because it's all stock and all like original. I don't think it's ever been apart. Everything's brittle and that hasn't come off yet, like all the hoses and stuff like that. So turbo off, up pipe out, and then I should be good to start going back together. Turbo's out. All right, here's where we're at. Turbo's mounted, up pipe's on. Wastegate is on, oil drain is hooked up. This is quite the project, but we're going at it.
Let me know before you're gonna start.
All right, I'm gonna start it now. Ready?
Yep. No way. All right, jump back it is.
Yep.
it sounds sick.
Okay. I suck. I didn't film the last probably 50% of that whole thing because I kind of ran into an issue where I took time off of work to get it done, and as it always goes, ran into a couple problems. Had to go to like AutoZone, then the hardware store, and then the compressor housing doesn't come tapped for the boost reference from Garrett, so I had to go to the store and get a drill bit with a tap and a 90-degree brass fitting, take the compressor housing off, put it on the vise, drill a hole, clean the metal out, tap it. Running the fuel lines was an absolute pain. I cracked my intake manifold because IEG AOS, the competition series, comes with a plug that goes underneath the throttle body. And for some reason, I just kept cranking the thing in. I don't know why, but I just kept going. And because I wanted it to be flush, but that's just not how it works. I don't know why I did it, but I cracked the intake manifold. So then I had to hit up like some local performance shop that does Subarus, and they just so happened to have one laying around. And then I had to have my buddy drive me there to go get it and then come back. And it was just, it was going smooth, and then it started to not go smooth, and I didn't want to run out of time, and I had the dyno day on Friday, and now it's Wednesday, and the car is not together, and I wanted to have that Thursday to kind of make sure everything's good, drive it around, put some miles on it, make sure nothing's going to leak before I go try to push the stock motor to, I mean, I'll tell you guys a little later on how much power it made, but with that being said, I'm going to go through what I did, and if anyone has any questions whatsoever, because I know there's not a lot of information on how to do this kind of stuff. There is, but there isn't. Let me know. And yeah, this is basically how it looks and how it came out. Okay, so essentially, everything's together. 3582R, Comp Series AOS, TIAL blow-off valve, ETS front mount, IAG fuel rails, IAG PTFE fuel lines, AEROMOTIVE fuel pressure regulator, IBR flex fuel kit, HKS equal length headers, obviously the ETS rotated kit, TIAL external wastegate 44 millimeter, ID 1300s, AEM 340 hardwired. Yeah, essentially the tricky things were like, there's the AOS comes down to this block breather. It's a little off-centered. But then there's also a secondary breather system that goes to like more towards the center of the block. And it's all from the factory, these really tough, doesn't really bend hoses that run to it with like metal pipes and fittings and stuff. So I had deleted all that, went to the store, bought some hose. They go to the back ports on the valve cover, and they just come up. This one comes up, that one comes up. They go to a T, and then they go straight down to the breather, and then the COBB AOS comes up. Out of that breather, goes to the can. These two go to the valve cover. That one dumps to the ground. The thing that's a little tricky with the Garrett turbos is the coolant. So the AOS obviously has coolant running through it, and from the factory there is a hard line that comes up from the water pump, and it stops right here, and then there's a hose that's about this long, and then there's a hard pipe that runs this way, and it comes up right through this hole for the coolant tank that usually sits here. So if you look, you can't really see it, but there's a hose clamp in there. So you cut that metal pipe, that hose runs back right to the AOS down there. And then out of the AOS, I put the heat sheathing on it, comes up into the turbo, and then out of the turbo on this side down to the back of the head. And then you can delete this stupid coolant pipe, which, I mean, I think it looks way cleaner.
And then, obviously, fuel lines, IAG gives you the instructions on how to route it, and that's exactly how I did it, and it worked perfectly. I still have an air pump. I did it's all V-band, the kit. It was an absolute nightmare to line everything up by myself, but I got it done. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it went together fairly smooth. There's just a couple runs to a couple different places for either mistakes or just stuff that I didn't have. Nothing was really custom. I forget if I said it, but there's evap solenoids that are here. You delete that. There's your feed, your return, and this evap hose would normally run to a hard line and then come down to the evap solenoids over here. I just ran it down the fender. It's just a breather for the tank. Obviously, I did the COBB 4-bar map sensor. I did the AEM intake air temp sensor. On the fuel pressure regulator, I have the fuel pressure sensor. So you can run speed density. So I don't have a MAF sensor anymore. The dump on the AOS goes on the driver's side now. I took the stock bracket. That comes with the AOS, and I just kind of like cut it and bent it so it can mount it right here where it needs to be. As far as this stuff goes, I undid the tape on the harness and I pulled it and ran it behind the ABS lines and zip tied it so it's away from all the heat, and everything's been pretty good. I've already done some like 3, 4 and 5th gear pulls on the highway and nothing's really melting or anything, so that's good. So now, before, the car was a stock intercooler, stock turbo. It had the ID 1300s, it had the AEM 340, it had the flex fuel, downpipe, external wastegate, 38 millimeter, just the basic stuff. It made 330 wheel horsepower, 370 torque on E85 on a Mustang dyno. And on pump, it made like 301 and like 340 torque. And that was like a safe stock motor number. Now, with the Garrett and everything, it makes, on pump gas, on wastegate, 12 pounds of boost, it makes 308. In Sport Sharp, on pump, 93, it makes 380 wheel. And it could have been more, but it's a stock motor. I have E85 10 minutes from where I live. So just to, not push it on a stock engine on pump, we left it there. He asked if I wanted more. I literally was like, there's no point, dude. I have E85 right down the street from my house. Probably could have made over 400. And then on E85, on 12 PSI, wastegate pressure, it made 355. And then in Sport, he set it at 400. And then in Sport Sharp, he set it at 451. And that is 100%. One, because I was running out of fuel pressure with the AEM 340. Even though I have it hardwired, he was seeing a tiny bit of fuel pressure drop. It made like 475, and then he saw fuel pressure drop. But he was going to leave it at 450 anyways, just because that's a good number for a stock motor, especially when you push a stock motor to 450 wheel horsepower on a Mustang dyno, and it's never seen that kind of power. You don't know what's going to happen. They're all mass-produced. Mass-produced engines and stuff like that. So he said, we'll leave it at 450. You need a fuel pump anyways. Do the radium hanger with a Walbro 525. Come back, and then, if in 6 months in the springtime the engine's still happy, everything's running good, this and that, we'll turn it up a little bit. He said that if I was to do a closed deck block with fire rings, which is like a little groove that gets notched in the cylinder sleeve, and so you can put a fire lock ring between the block and the cylinder head with the IAG gaskets. Even with stock heads, like no port and polish or no valves or springs or anything, or cams, no cams or anything, just the block, just the fire rings. Come back with a Walbro 525 and a radium hanger in the back, and we can make 600. Like, it's the turbo kit itself and the supporting mods and stuff are ready for 600 to 650 wheel horsepower. It's just, stock motor, not enough fuel is essentially the reason it made 450. And 450 feels good. It made 450 on 22 pounds of boost. So that's like almost nothing for what this turbo can do. He said he actually had to, rather than then turning the boost up, he was kind of holding it back. Like the turbo's not even working really. Like it comes in and it just hits 22 and it just sits there. Like it's not even sweating. But yeah, I'm going to try to get some pulls. And then obviously, like I said, if you guys have any questions, if it's 2 years from now and I made this video 4 years or 2 or 4 years ago, and you're like, Nick, I don't know how you ran the breathers for the block, or I don't know how you ran the fuel lines or anything, just comment or find me on Instagram or whatever and just send me a message. And I might sometimes, it depends, I might take a day or two, but I'll reply and I'm not going to forget. It's all fresh in my head and I will probably continue to work on it. So I know now how everything went together. Me and my buddy did it and nobody else. So I know exactly what every clamp, bolt, where I cut it, whatever, TGV, deletes, all, you name it. I know everything that happened. So any questions, just let me know. Overall, it is on speed density now, so it doesn't have a MAF sensor. E85 cold starts and it was probably 30 degrees this morning. A little rough, but that's only on E85. On 93 it's fine. And other than that, it drives exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever that I can tell. Obviously that might vary from tuner to tuner, but it drives so good, so smooth. You get all the cool turbo noises. You guys will hear it in a little bit. And yeah, it's just since you're going to a much bigger turbo, it doesn't really muffle the exhaust as much. So whatever exhaust you have, expect it to be just a tad bit louder than it was, or maybe even a little more droney, just because you're not getting the turbo to muffle the exhaust anymore. But yeah, other than that, it drives exactly the same. It's not as peppy, obviously. Big turbo, it's not going to spool at 3. Now it spools at like 4,500, but other than that, like I said, drives exactly the same as stock or tuned or whatever. I'm in love with it. Feels great. I guess I'll just kind of let you guys hear it. For a day or two now, and I'm not sure if I'd want it any louder than that. I think it would get pretty annoying, because like it's not bad when you're just driving around, because when you're not on the throttle, it's not spooling like it's not making that like turbine noise. But like when you're cruising on the highway, that's, if I don't have the music on, you're just straight up hearing that thing like spooling up, which is cool, but like trust me, it does get a little annoying sometimes already. Up like so easy. Like if you just like I'm at 2,500 and you just right up and down. It's so sick. Right now I'm on 68% ethanol. This is sport mode, which is like a little over 400 wheel on a Mustang dyno. And I mean, like I'll just roll, I'm at 3,500 and I'll just punch it. And look, dude, it feels so good. And it has the TIAL blow off valve, so when you let off, it like has that like doo, fucking like it's the like traditional like Garrett like blow off sound with the TIAL, which hasn't changed in years. thing that I thought was really interesting is, so Sport makes 408, and Sport Sharp makes 451. So you're talking like 40 something wheel horsepower difference. And you wouldn't think that it would feel that different. It feels dramatically different. Like gaining 40 wheel horsepower in an all-wheel drive car, like you can feel that. So like if someone says to you like, oh dude, if you do like this, and this, you'll probably pick up like 40, and obviously get a retune, you'll pick up 40 wheel horsepower. Like if your tuner says that to you, don't think of that as not that much, because like there is a drastic difference. I'm sure that after I did that pull in Sport, and then I'll do another one in Sport Plus, if you kind of like go back and like watch the two, like I'll do a Sport Plus right now, and then watch this one, and then scroll back a little and watch the other one, and I'm sure you could probably see the difference just in the video. Same thing, 3500. If I do the 525 and I do a built short block closed deck with fire lock, so you can turn the boost way up, he said that this setup will make 600 horsepower. And now I'm driving it around with 450 horsepower, and like I went from 330 to 450, so that's 120 horsepower bump at the wheels, and obviously that is dramatic, and it's fast. So like, sorry, that was caught me off guard a little bit. It's dramatically faster. Like it's really quick. I couldn't even, and I've been in fast cars and stuff, I couldn't picture or imagine what it would feel like to get another 450, 550, 150 wheel horsepower more than what this is right now. Like that has to be like just the most intense feeling ever, because like this thing moves out. So to have another 150 more on top of what this is at its highest level, like that just must be so crazy. Look at this guy, that's a cop in front of that white BMW, and he is on his fucking ass, and it slows down to 25 right here. No way he put his lights on. Oh, he just put the lights on for the guy up there. I was like, no way this dude just got pulled over behind the cop. Imagine he like just pulls me over. That'd be crazy. Cause I have no front license plate. That's about the only thing he would get me for. But he get on stuff. Cool too, right? So my TIAL blow-off valve has a 12-pound spring in it. So anything under 12 psi. So if I like, spool the turbo up and I like up to like 10 psi and I let off, that blow-off valve doesn't open over. That blow-off valve doesn't open for any amount of boost unless it's over 12 psi. So if I spool it up, if I spool the turbo up to like 10 and let off, it just has that like. I'll see if I can do it. So sick. I hope you guys can hear it. But yeah, as you guys can see, I mean, it drives absolutely like so good. And another thing that I get people, I think people get confused. Oh, my camera battery's gonna die soon. Another thing that I think people get confused with, right, is like, so the stock turbo spools at, I don't know, 3,000 RPM, 3,200, somewhere around that range, and it ramps right in full boost. And people are like, oh, like, you don't want to get that big of a turbo, it's not going to spool till 4,500 and stuff like that. So when I got the 3582, because I was originally going to get a 3076, people were like, you don't want to do that, it's not going to spool till 4,500. But I did it anyways. And what I've come to notice is, one, yes, it doesn't fully hit boost until 4,500, but it's not like there's absolutely nothing until 4,500. Like when you're at 3,500 and you hit it, the boost, it's not just like 0 PSI, 0 PSI, 0 PSI, 0 PSI until it hits 4,500, and then it just shoots to whatever your boost level is. It gets into it, and while it's getting into it, you're gradually power is coming in, you know, the graph is going up. It's not just going this way and then it's going to go up when you hit 4,500. So like it's not as drastic, I guess you could say, that I thought it was going to be. And to be honest, I almost feel like it's a little better in a way, because if you're like messing around in like a traffic-y area, or not traffic-y, but like, you know, congested, with the stock turbo on E85, I could literally just be like, whap, whap, like quick. Now I have to, you know, downshift, I have to get it to the RPM that I want to be at, and then I go, and it kind of keeps you from doing stupid stuff where you probably shouldn't be. Like right now I have enough room, but like if I was in the middle of the city, where with the stock turbo I could kind of zip around and you know, do dumb stuff, and now I kind of can't, which I kind of like in a way. And it also, like, I like the feeling of, like, you know, when you put it in second and you're at 35.4 and you hit it, and it's like you wait that little bit, it's like almost like you're like getting ready for it, and then it comes in and you're like, oh, it's just awesome. I love it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed everything. And I know it wasn't the best video. It's not exactly how I wanted it to go, and I feel like that's just always going to be the case, because, you know, this stuff takes a lot of time and everything. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any questions, let me know.